3 o'clock in the morning, and you are auditing the books of your life. You are staring at a ledger that makes no logical sense. On one side, you have deposited years of patience, emotional labor, and second chances. And the kind of deep, cellular-level understanding that most people never offer another human being across an entire lifetime. On the other side, the balance reads 0, not low, not insufficient, 0. And you are sitting there in the dark, running the numbers again, because your brain refuses to accept that the math is that clean, that brutal, that intentional. You probably call yourself gullible. You think your capacity for empathy is a design flaw. You wonder how someone who can read a room, detect a lie, and simulate 17 outcomes before breakfast somehow missed the most obvious con in the building. Stop that audit. You are asking the wrong question. The question is not why you were fooled. The question is why you were chosen. And the answer to that question reframes everything. You are not a fool. You are a high-fidelity asset, and you were targeted with surgical precision. Because your empathy produces the highest return on investment available in the entire social marketplace. The audit begins in the laboratory of the self, and we start with the hardware. A narcissist is not simply a difficult person. They are a system running on a chronic empathy deficit. The internal processor responsible for shame regulation, emotional accountability, and self-reflection is either underdeveloped or functionally offline. This is not a metaphor. Research into narcissistic personality disorder consistently points to structural and functional differences in regions like the anterior insula and the prefrontal cortex. The same areas your brain uses to simulate another person's emotional state and regulate your own. We are looking at a hardware disconnect in the very machinery of human connection. Their strategist is compromised. Their radar is miscalibrated. And because they cannot generate emotional regulation from the inside, they are forced to source it from the outside. They do not want a partner. They want to outsource their entire emotional operating load to a processor powerful enough to carry the weight for two. And when they scan the room, they are not looking for weakness. They are looking for bandwidth. They are looking for you. Your mirror neurons are not running at a standard fidelity. When someone in your proximity is in pain, your prefrontal cortex does not simply register the signal and move on. It builds a full simulation. It models their history, their triggers, their internal logic, and then it begins generating solutions. You are not sympathizing. You are running a full diagnostic on a system that was never yours to repair. To a predator operating with a broken internal processor, that is not just attractive, it is a free service. They deposit their system errors into your field, and you spend your CPU cycles debugging code they have no intention of rewriting. That brings us to the first layer of the ROI audit, and it is subtle enough that most people never isolate it. You have a reputation. You have spent years building a signal of integrity, intelligence, and genuine character. People in your orbit trust your judgment. The narcissist knows this, and they do not just want your empathy in private. They want to stand next to your public signal and borrow it. Consider the mechanics. If someone as perceptive, as principled, and as difficult to deceive as you has chosen to remain in a relationship with them, the flock reads that as social proof of character. You become their integrity shield. It is a deliberate strategic move to use your history to whitewash their present. They are siphoning your social currency to pay for their moral debts. Every time you defend them, you are spending a portion of the trust the world has in you to cover for someone who has none. Your reputation functions as a signal filter that drowns out the static of their actual behavior. Every time you defend them, every time you explain their actions to a confused friend, every time your continued presence implies they must be worth it, You are patching their social firmware with your own credibility. You are not just their emotional resource. You are their public relations infrastructure, and they are running that service for free on your account. The second layer goes deeper into the biology. Sentinels are not simply empathetic, they are generative. You produce, you create. You carry a reservoir of what I call life force, the creative energy, the resilience, the relentless drive to extract meaning from broken environments. Your nervous system, forged through hypervigilance and high-resolution processing, has developed a near-paradoxical capacity to keep generating hope in low-hope conditions. In the right context, that is an extraordinary feature. In proximity to a narcissist, it becomes the exact resource they are strip mining. Narcissists do not target depleted people. There is nothing to extract from someone already running on empty. They are looking for high-capacity power stations. They want to locate the brightest signal in the room, establish a connection, and run their entire simulation on that energy source for as long as the supply holds. The cycles of idealization and devaluation are not random. They are a delivery mechanism. Intermittent reinforcement is the most effective architecture for keeping a high-functioning mind locked in a problem-solving loop. Your brain, optimized for pattern recognition, keeps searching for the version of them that matched the initial data. That is not naivety. That is neurological exploitation. The third factor is the one that tends to land the hardest, because it converts your greatest cognitive strength into the primary weapon used against you. You are an associative thinker. When you encounter a claim, a story, or an explanation, your prefrontal cortex does not simply accept or reject it. It searches for the logical framework that could make it true. You hold multiple perspectives simultaneously. You extend the benefit of the doubt not out of weakness, but out of intellectual rigor, because you understand that reality is layered and people are rarely one-dimensional. That is a feature of a sophisticated mind. And a narcissist, whether through conscious strategy or learned social predation, identifies that feature in you fast. So they do not give you clean, obvious lies. They give you low-resolution data, partial truths, contradictions that almost cohere, stories with just enough internal logic to be plausible if you are willing to do the remaining construction work. And then they wait, because they know your sentinel intelligence will close the gap. You fill in the missing data. You build the charitable interpretation. You engineer the logical bridge between their story and reality, using your own cognitive resources. You are not just being gaslit, you are co-authoring the gaslighting. Your own intelligence is being conscripted to manufacture your confusion. That is the most precise and ruthless form of exploitation on this list. High-fidelity empathy is a precision resource. It is time to treat it accordingly. The first directive is this: stop pro bono auditing. If a system has generated the same error 10 times, the hardware is not malfunctioning. It is functioning exactly as designed. The glitch is the feature. You are not failing to fix them. You are succeeding at keeping them comfortable enough to avoid fixing themselves. Cut the diagnostic session. Redirect your processing power toward systems that are actively running clean code. The second directive is the reciprocity ping. Before you invest another cycle of deep empathy into anyone, send a small data request first. Ask for minor help, set a low-stakes boundary. Observe the return signal with zero emotional noise. If what comes back is deflection, irritation, or silence, you have your ROI report. The number is 0. You do not need a longer sample size. Cut the feed. The third directive is the empathy paywall. Your deepest empathy, the full resolution, prefrontal cortex engaged, mirror neuron activated kind, is not general admission. It is a private resource, reserved for minds operating at a frequency capable of actually receiving it, processing it, and returning something of equal resolution. A black hole does not become a star because you shine at it harder. It pulls you in. Stop broadcasting your highest quality signal into a system that was never built to receive it. You were not built to be a battery in someone else's simulation. You were built to be a sentinel. Your empathy is a precision instrument, and precision instruments belong in the laboratory of the self, not in the hands of someone running diagnostics on your willingness to stay. If you have spent your life functioning as the power station for the wrong systems, drop a money bag and a shield in the comments. Let the other sentinels know the free service is over. The paywall is live. Stay rare, Silas out.